wealth doesn't mean like having like a lot of zeros, right? Like wealth really means like having more purchasing power than other people.
So the idea is that, okay, big boy, you want to come buy our shares? Well, these existing shareholders are going to be able to buy more shares, diluting you, making your kind of ROI in the whole situation not really viable.
Everything's bleeding. Stable coins are still holding strong. We've seen one stable coin perform very admirably so far, UST, okay? And we know the mechanism on like how UST gets minted by burning Luna, and then Luna coin has really fucking taken off.
Everything we talk about is exhilarating, but not digestible or approachable for the majority of people because they will not take the time, the energy to understand and execute.
Welcome to Alfalfa. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Steven aped 100K into a random coin last night without doing due diligence.
Nice, Steven!
And Armand is going to Egypt tomorrow. Today's going to be a fun little podcast. Lots of things going on in our lives. We're back again in person together. We're loving it. Hope you guys are loving it too. Quick little housekeeping. Hop in the Discord. There's been a lot of chitter chatter in there. We'd love for you to join us. And we also had Ben, the CEO of Collective Shift, in town. Visited him from Aussie Town. Good having dinners with him and hanging out. Lots of good stuff coming to Collective Shift. He has so graciously given us a nice little discount code Alfalfa, if you want to check it out. Today we're going to go through the Alfalfa round or Alpha round. We're going to talk a little 5-year crypto portfolio.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a good time. I think this is
That's what people ask.
Good
Always.
time in the market to discuss allocations. So we'll get everyone's take on it. Probably quite different from all four of us. And then we're talking a little Twitter Elon, how we see it breaking out, made a little free speech talk. And then last little bit, some life-changing products that we all have in our lives. I'm sure people will have their own, but I think there'll be something you could take from it. So we'll see who's the most consumer-driven person out of all of us. I have a little guess.
It's Armand.
I don't own shit.
I don't know. There's a lot of nice things in here.
I don't know.
Okay, Alfalfa round. Let's do it. Who wants to start?
Eric.
Oh, yeah, you had something. Oh,
yeah, I do. But it's okay. It's a little dense. But here's what I'm thinking. Okay, so everything's bleeding. Stable coins are still holding strong. We've seen one stable coin perform very admirably so far, UST. Okay, and we know the mechanism on like how UST gets minted by burning Luna, and then Luna coin has really fucking taken off. What about FXS? Frax shares, the Luna equivalent of the Frax stablecoin. Okay.
Wow, you're getting into my alpha where I sold my entire Frax share position yesterday.
You're saying buy?
Sorry, it's up 18% on 24 hours. Okay. Okay, so
continue.
So this is why I didn't want to ask Steven before the episode, because this is going to be huge alpha for everybody. But Frax, the stablecoin, there's like 2 billion of these. The market cap's like 2 billion. But more and more Frax are being demanded every day with the introduction of the 4 pool.
Right.
So FXS token is going to have to be burned to make more Frax.
That you're talking about the 4 pool and curve?
The curve 4 pool, yeah.
Yeah, I forget what DAI, USDC, and
not DAI.
DAI is the exclusion.
It's famously not DAI.
Frax and UST.
Okay.
It's basically a ticking time bomb that could eventually blow up all of DeFi.
Right, but in the immediate term...
Welcome to the show, Nihilist Steven.
It is what
His
it is.
first
Get used
episode,
to it,
right?
folks. It's going to happen
I
all
think he's
episode
going to
long.
kick around for a while.
So the FXS token has a fully diluted market cap of 2 point something billion. And there are like 2 billion Frax stablecoins out there in the world. I think there's gonna be more Frax stablecoins in demand going forward, which would push the price of Frax FXS higher, the same way that Luna coin went higher.
Interesting.
FXS is the ticker for
Frax shares. Yeah, that's
it.
what it's called.
Okay.
I like it.
All
Maybe it makes sense to go to Steven.
Steven, let's hear from
We'll
you
sandwich
next.
you in here.
So I sold all my Frax share. I just checked the chart, by the way. You panicked me. I sold the tippy top basically at $34 before it moons to 60.
Local tippy top.
Look, I think people need to understand the mechanism for why Frax share number go up. I'm not going to overcomplicate it, but number go up when people demand more Frax. You can look more into that if you want. My problem with I also sold my entire convex position for a variety of reasons. One, it was up I don't know, like 15x, and I don't know about the risk reward at this point, especially where we are in the market. But both Convex and Frax Share, they're sort of heavily tied to this bribing on Curve, and the vast majority of the bribes these days, I think, are kind of coming from the Luna Ponzi, which is sort of tied to the Frax Ponzi. So there's this like reinforced kind of like reflexivity with like the Luna growing, and they want more bribes to bring liquidity to the pool, and it's basically just all like a giant long Luna
Precisely.
trade,
Precisely.
But just buy Terra, buy Luna.
But Luna's $30 billion market cap, and Frax Shares is 2-point-something billion.
Sure, but like the market cap for UST is orders of magnitude greater than the market cap for Frax, which is
But you're thinking
why the price is there.
because of the four pool.
Yeah, you're gonna have to own. I mean, you got to provide liquidity in equal.
Okay, no discussion
amounts.
here.
Okay, yeah. I mean, this is already too deep, but people are gonna you're gonna have to provide them in equal amounts.
Prove yourself.
If you think this is the time in macro to be taking on the long risk of giant Ponzi's, then it's and it might be. This might be the time where we get a melt up when the world's burning, but for some reason the stock market doubles. I'm very open to that.
I'm short fucking the world. I'm short everything, but I think this is gonna go higher.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk more about this on our 5-year plan. But
Yes.
yeah, my alpha is I've been searching under the couch cushions for any last like non-Ethereum Bitcoin coins I have, and like, digging them up. And
This will be a good one to
Selling.
come back a year later and look at the leaderboard between your two
Or like
bull and bear calls.
3 weeks later, perhaps.
All right.
I mean, I'll shift on it. I'll flip flop tomorrow. I have no problem doing that.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead next.
All right. So my, I guess alfalfa for this week is obviously my head's been in NFTs for a while now. And so I have kind of more of just a what I did, but more importantly, like a disclaimer that we've talked about often that I think is really important to bring up again. So first of all, one thing that I've had major success with is the 10K TF NFT that I've told you guys about. This is Beeple's NFT. There's some very interesting people behind it. It's Beeple.
You can tell I've done a lot of research on it.
You
when
also don't read
posted.
our text message thread. He said it like 7
I
times.
know.
Steven
I'm
didn't-
sorry.
almost didn't show up
I
today.
thought
Tie
he
my
was
shoes.
trolling me, and I wanted to play into it. You're not trolling.
No, I'm literally not trolling.
This
I had
is
no
Beeple's
idea.
NFT.
It's been a rough week. Okay.
Do I matter to you?
Every week's a rough week.
I have a lot of information going on up here.
So, Beeple has an NFT. It's called 10,000 True Fans, 10KTF, and it's phenomenal. And there's a potential possibility of this being the metaverse merch for Other Side, or some metaverse play here. But they seem to be very affiliated with Yuga Labs and Bake, because Animoca Brands is creating everything. There's that is the tie between the two companies, and there's a lot of different things you can explore to see how they're affiliated. But all of that even aside, what I love about this NFT is it's the opposite of every single other NFT out there that is a pump and dump, that is all about selling the asset up front. It's like, the IPO and then see you later, hasta la vista. These guys are actually building something. And if you look at the chart over the last 90 days, it's only been around a few months. It's just a nice, slow, steady rise of volume and price. And that's what you want to see. And I'm up 100% on the 3 NFTs that I purchased about 2 weeks ago. And I rarely find opportunities like this. And I'm very happy about it.
The floor is 0.88 right now.
So I've seen that.
888. Oh my God, sweep it. What?
So I bought Bored Ape high top sneakers.
Oh, I see those. Yeah.
And those have a premium to them. So the alpha here for people that want to buy this NFT. And I still think there's time with this.
Oh my God,
for
is that a
sure.
Pudgy Penguin's backpack?
There's a
Yeah, so-
Pudgy Penguin backpack.
It's
Bored Ape
blue
backpack.
chip NFT merch.
Azuki. Yeah.
Yep. You've got Wolf Game. You've got Bored Ape, Mutant Ape, Pudgy Penguins, all that kind of stuff.
World of Women.
It's very important that you buy the Genesis. So there's a filter in OpenSea. You want to make sure you buy the Genesis NFTs. And then obviously, if that theory plays out that this is merch for Other Side, you're going to want to own like Mutant Ape or Bored Ape.
Wait, so does my penguin have a
It does.
merch? It does.
It's got a hoodie. It's got a hat. It's got socks. It's got like
Are there
5 different
no
things.
CryptoPunks on here?
If you want to put in the work on this, and if you're intrigued by what I'm talking about, if you own any of the NFTs that are incorporated into this Wagmi-san's little shop here. It's a really cool story,
This is
actually.
pretty sick,
You can
actually.
go and
I'll buy
actually
this.
mint your own merch. So if I own a mutant ape, which I do, I can buy like hat material,
Nice.
and I can go and create and mint the NFT, own it, and then other people buy it as well. I didn't want to put in the work because I don't have the time.
Right.
So I just went to the market. I bought Genesis Bored Ape NFT from there. And it seems like there's some big news coming with this, and I think that this is still very important timing right now for people to pay
This takes
attention
me
to.
back to the time when I almost minted 3 ETH sneakers for my my pipe wild blonde punk,
Oh,
and
you
then
did?
I caught myself. I was like, "Why do you need?"
Did you catch yourself from
$10,000
selling
sneakers.
that wild blonde?
In the metaverse.
No, unfortunately, I didn't.
So I've been loading up.
that.
I want a backpack. I got a Mutant Ape backpack. I want my guy to be fitted. So anyway, what this tells me is I'm constantly fine tuning like my personal strategy, right? And I keep fucking up like all the time. I chase things at the top all the time. I FOMO in all the time. Like I am not, what you'd say. I'm not like immune to the same things that the whole market does. But I am trying to be aware of the metagame at all times and watch my patterns and see what works and what doesn't. And what I've noticed is that every time I chase the story, I lose. I chase the story of the cool pets, kind of like thing happening with the cool cats. I lost. I chase alien friends, mutants coming. I lost so far in the short term, right? So if you are going into this game, here's the disclaimer part of my Alfalfa. Stop buying the NFT for the sake of wanting the NFT to make money. Buy into the business, which is what a lot of these NFTs are becoming. They're becoming the launch of a business like Moonbirds or the community. 98%, we always call it like 98% of NFTs are shit. What really I think we should be saying is that 98% of these are meant to literally generate some art or create an NFT, put it out to the market, have the creator make money off the mint, and hasta la vista. The difference is, though, that I think we're seeing this huge shift happening where companies are actually launching access to their product, their service, their subscription, their community in the form of an NFT. That's what I want to buy into. I think Moonbirds was obviously the biggest no-brainer. Everybody saw it, but nobody could get in. Well, not nobody, but a very small percentage of people. So even at 7 ETH secondary market floor, it was a no-brainer because it's already at 20 ETH 2 days later. So don't try to make money on NFTs. I really believe that. I think that like if you're coming into, I know Steven just turned and said, let me better explain. Punk 6529 had an incredible thread on this.
He's my favorite.
And this is what he said, and I'm kind of remixing it. A lot of people are coming into NFT, and sorry, I'm going way over time, but I think this is an important disclaimer. A lot of people come into NFTs to make life-changing money. You can get lucky doing that if you want to gamble, but they still have to pay their rent, and then they have to borrow money to pay their rent, and that's the disclaimer. Buy the product. I mean, I didn't mean to say product, but buy the product that you actually want to buy for the sake of owning it for at least 5 to 10 years. If it's a community you want to be a part of, or it's a collectible item that you want, buy those and forget about the rest, because I think everyone else is getting burned with all this other stuff, and it's about to get worse.
You know, I'll hop onto that and hop into my Alfalfa round, but I think it's kind of a blessing and a curse that there's this 24/7 international marketplace around NFTs, because I think the investment style should be more like a venture investment, where it's like a technology investment or a long-term business investment on a macro trend of some kind of like new digital type of business. And venture investments are typically held 5 to 7 years, but because we can trade it, it's so liquid. Maybe we catch ourselves into so many problems and kind of view it short term when it's better to be looked at a venture thesis. So
yeah, no one's taking profit along the way. That's
right.
another thing people do wrong.
Anyway, so this week you mentioned Wolfgang, which reminded me, I did play the little cave game.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
I've been forgetting to play.
I really like it. It's like maybe 2 to 3 minutes to play it for each NFT a day if you want to keep up on it. But yeah, you can earn some wool, some of the currency. You can earn some NFTs that are worth a couple $1,000. So it's interesting, and I really like it. And we'll see if it continues to grow and if it brings more new people into.
So
the,
you can
to
earn
the
what
ecosystem.
by playing?
You earn wool, like wool's the token, obviously, and you can earn that as you play the game. Pretty simple. It doesn't really require a lot of like thinking to do it.
Yeah.
And then you can earn NFTs.
Wait, so you're saying
the
it's
gems.
only 3 minutes a day for each of the 60 Wolf Game NFTs I own to play this game.
Right. So for whales, it's not great because you own so many. But I like that. I don't want a bunch of whales in this project. I want more unique holders. And for me, the more unique holders something has, the better long-term growth prospects are. Because whenever you have like a bunch of concentrated whale holders, you have risks of this thing just like getting the rug pulled by a whale. So anyway, that was that. And then I didn't really do much outside of that. What I did do for my alfalfa for this week was kind of go back and revisit my initial crypto thesis on Bitcoin, ETH, altcoins, NFTs, and just kind of recenter myself. I typically write down like a 2 or 3 sentence thing on like why I'm gonna buy something, or what my original thesis is. For the main purpose is when things go up or down a lot, I can revisit it and be like, oh, that was what I was thinking when I purchased this, and try to stay out of the FOMO. I haven't done a good job in some recent ones, but I just went back and do it. So the alfalfa, I think, is like write down, even if it's just 2 or 3 sentences, on why you're investing in whatever you're putting money in, and then revisit it every so often to remind yourself what your original thesis was, because you might find that your previous self was actually had quite a bit of wisdom. All you need to do is stick with the plan.
Do you have it up right now? You want to read?
I do have
read ETH maybe.
ETH will be the largest like computing platform. It'll essentially be an internet bond. Eventually, ETH will become deflationary. ETH is already money and needed to interact with Web3. Okay, that's my like 2-3 sentences on.
Did you write that a year ago?
Yeah,
good one. Good one. But man, with that, I don't want to get too lost in this stuff, right, guys? But I do have this thing with the internet bond, like this ETH bond thing, because as rates are rising, like bond prices are gonna fucking collapse. So if we're gonna value ETH as a bond, look out below.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like a bond is like a easy nomenclature for TradFi to like attach onto. I don't know if it's like how you would actually value it, but I think it's like, hey, if we can get TradFi people, institutions to understand it like a bond, like imagine like TCP/IP infrastructure had a bond associated with it. Like you could own the underlying protocol in which the internet like operated on. I think that's more of a, I don't know, semantics more than how you actually value the thing.
Yeah, I also think a bond if ETH is a bond and you're going to say it's going to crash, it would imply that the bond is appropriately priced right now, which I would argue it's probably not. It's probably underpriced by quite a bit, which doesn't mean it won't go lower in the next few months. But
so I think this is a perfect parlay into like allocations and what our 5-year crypto portfolio would look like. Eric had mentioned like maybe we take a look at 2 different portfolios, and I kind of devised mine into 2 different ones. A bucket where someone's starting with a lower amount of money and is looking for like max growth, right? Like I want to grow, and there's other people who are like, I have money and I want to just protect it, but I want to earn yield and I want to beat the market. And so I kind of put my portfolio into 2 different buckets. And my crypto portfolio for 5 years, if someone's looking to grow, I did 10% Bitcoin, 70% ETH, and then the last 20%, I did a mix of L1s, 50 to 200 rank market cap tokens, and NFTs. You can kind of like choose your weapon within that last 20%. And the idea is that you're going to need to beat Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just like this small little thing that provides a little less beta to the portfolio over time. But I think we all agree that ETH is probably really undervalued. Some of the narratives haven't played out yet. They might take a few years to play out. And they produce yield, and then mix in a few L1s in there, just because they tend to trade on like a way bigger, brighter future, right? Like these L1s haven't even come close to ETH in fundamentals, but they trade on, well, what if it did beat ETH? And so sometimes those provide some outpaced returns. And I think having a little bit of NFTs and some maybe lower cap tokens. For the person who has a lot of money, I think stables at 50% is not a bad bet, and then 30% ETH, 20% Bitcoin, and it does take a lot of active management to keep up your 15% stablecoin yields, which are certainly possible. But if you're able to kind of monitor that over a period of time, I think that makes sense. I will say my personal portfolio is still crypto's 25%, maybe roughly half is real estate, and the other quarter is like stocks, equities.
Are you including stable coins in that?
Oh, I don't have any actual cash. I don't have anything to purchase goods. I just have assets.
Well, you can't
Wow.
purchase anything with stable coins either.
You and I are very different.
Yeah, I know. This is good. Maybe you should. Well, I did have it for the person who's trying to protect money.
I kind of want to challenge this whole thing of protecting money, though, like being in crypto in the first place. I just feel like we should have our take on the 5-year crypto portfolio, but the 5-year
hold
wealth
on.
preservation
no,
portfolio
no.
doesn't make sense to me.
There's
in
no
crypto.
better way to protect money, in
Dude,
my
in
opinion, right now
stable
than
coins.
with.
No,
But that's crypto.
But like what else? It's just stable coins.
But like, what better way to protect
I agree.
your portfolio
like-
than stay
yeah,
in cash and
I
make
agree.
like 20% while
That's
the
the
world's
ultimate
I
half
agree,
of
but
crypto
like,
is stablecoins.
I feel like what I'm trying to say is I feel like let's just say that that's what that is.
Okay, I think that's fair.
And we've covered it.
That's fair.
And I think the majority of people are like, I want to make money in crypto.
Right.
But the
How
way
do I
to make money in crypto is step 1, don't lose 80%. Step 2, buy when the market's down, like, and there's blood in the streets everywhere, right?
Pretty famous.
It's
Yeah,
very, very underrated, like keeping cash.
Don't lose
Very
money.
underrated, not losing money.
First rule, don't
even
lose
if
money.
you are a small guy trying to make it.
Steven, what's the second rule? Don't forget rule number 1. Don't lose money.
Oh, I never heard the second rule, but that's
Yeah.
a good reminder. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why we're debating this. I completely disagree.
That's good.
so you're
Argue with me.
saying
I
zero
love it.
stables.
What is the outcome? Let's discuss the outcome and who we're talking to, or are you speaking as yourself? So, like, I think we're trying to both project the ideal portfolio, but not actually talking about, and then also mixing up what we would do individually.
Okay, so which
I think we should get clear on our outcome. That's what I'm proposing. Let's get clear on the outcome so that we can actually deliver something valuable.
Okay, so
because
which-
we have very different opinions that are valuable. on
Okay,
this.
I think you're right. But let's start here. Like, what you find is that no investor is the same. Okay, so
Totally.
like the outcome is always different. So there's
Yes.
no like in absolute terms the best investment, because like what might be best mathematically doesn't work for some guy.
So
who
the
can't
best
lose money.
investment, yes. So that is always going to be individual. But let's just get clear on the outcome.
I think we need to talk about the outcome.
Is it
The
to
outcome for
beat
people is
Bitcoin?
to be wealthy, I think, right?
Yep.
But what does wealth mean? Wealth doesn't mean like having like a lot of zeros, right? Like wealth really means like having more purchasing power than other people, right? Like if the entire world nukes to almost zero and you're sitting in cash and your cash inflates and you lose half your cash, but everybody else is down 98%, well, you're pretty wealthy because you're just the last guy
Yeah, on a relative
standing.
basis,
On a
you're okay.
relative basis, you have a lot of purchasing power. You can buy assets, you can buy gas and food in massive quantities and do anything that you want, right? So there is an element of wealth preservation to getting wealthy in a world where everything might be deflating or imploding, and there's like a probability of that. And I think part of your portfolio needs to account for that. Like you can't just be all like, I'm long inflation or I'm long deflation, and then just hope the chips fall where they may. Like each part of your portfolio has a role in protecting against that. And I think like when you look objectively still at the world over the last 3 years, like everything is still moon status, even though we've all been dying, it feels like for like 4 or 5 months. Like the NASDAQ is still like way up over like a 10-year period.
God.
Way up. All cryptos are
Everything.
still way up. Well, all cryptos that have like a semblance of utility are still way, like Solana is still trading at $108. It was like sub $1 in a blink of an eye ago.
14 months ago, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's easy to lose perspective on how much stuff has gone up when it's actually been retracing for a bit.
So this is very important, Stephen, but it makes our discussion complicated, and that's probably good. But like,
Well, it is complicated.
it is complicated, but it's like, then we start discussing inflation, and we just start discussing our prophecies of how we see this entire thing going. It's very difficult to separate these matters and just say objectively the best 5-year crypto portfolio that's going to beat Bitcoin looks like this, when you have to factor in what you just talked about.
Well, when you make a portfolio, right, and you are truly like people who are sophisticated investors understand that anybody can get any return that they want. The question is, what is the risk you're taking on to get that return?
Yeah.
Right. So, oh, cool, I make 100% a year. Oh, but you have an 80% chance of blowing up in the next 6 months. That's not very useful, right? We call
Yeah.
that like Sharpe ratio, your return to your risk. Like when I look at the world right now, the most obvious investment on the planet is stable coins. We live in this little weird utopia bubble where for some reason you can earn 20% on magic internet money, digital cash, while everything is down only everywhere in the world. And if you know how to spread that out and not be too much in any one protocol, any one coin, like I fail to see a better outlook for the next few months, right? I think it's tricky when we talk about the next 5 years, but I think the next 5 years portfolio is heavily dependent on when you enter. And like over the next year, we may have an entry point where somebody is able to buy like 3 times as much Ethereum as the guy who enters at the wrong point, right? That's a big deal. That's the difference between you being worth, $20 million in 10 years and you having like, 500 grand.
So the reason why I framed it the way I did when we suggested this topic is because like the guy who's coming in with $1,000, it has not made it yet. And his desire is to make it, right? And you would ask that guy, have you made it yet? And he'd say, no, not yet. And that guy, in order to make it, can't just put his 1,000 in stables and then make it.
Right.
He just can't do it. He has to take on more risk, right? Versus the guy with 10 million can put it into stables and earn 15 to 20% and just make $2 million a year. He can do that. So I think Armand's point is right. You got to like identify who we're talking to, and
the time horizon thing.
And the time horizon. Okay, so for somebody who hasn't made it yet, I think Steven also makes a good point. Like you could buy ETH, and in 5 years, ETH is probably going to be higher. But timing totally matters. Like if you buy ETH at 3K now, you might be pissed when ETH goes down to 1,700, and you don't have the cash to like buy more. So what I think is I look at the entire investable universe. Stablecoins is by far the best asset that I've ever seen in a risk-return view. There's nothing better that I've ever seen in my entire life. But also, if I want to take risk, I don't think there's a better asset that I felt more higher conviction on than ETH, period. So like, I want to be in stables and wait for my moment to attack ETH.
Do you have a specific allocation right now, today, April 19th?
For ETH?
Yeah, or just like, if you said, okay, I have $1,000, what percentage of that do I keep in stables and what percentage do I put in ETH today?
I think it should be 90% stables, 10% ETH today.
Because you're short. You're short-term bearish.
Yes.
Which we talked about in previous podcasts.
Yes. And then like that should be flipped to 100% ETH when the time is right, in quotes. And time is right is subjective, but it can.
This is why we're all here. This is why this is a 4-person podcast, because it's going to be very, very different. So what is it for you, Nick?
I mean, I gave it already. Like I think 10% Bitcoin, 70% ETH. Have some mix of L1s in there, and like you're not going to all put your money in at once. I'd say just kind of DCA and into each little asset as a percentage and work towards it. Over the next couple months.
What do you want to hold as L1s as a percentage?
Less than 10%.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fine if you.
I remember you gave some advice on the podcast, which is like, let's say you think the market is at its complete freaking bottom, complete capitulation. What do you buy? And you're like, I wouldn't buy a Bitcoin. I wouldn't buy ETH. I'd buy the thing that has the most reflexivity, which is probably some like maybe alt L1, because it's gonna
higher beta.
Yeah, it's gonna go up more than ETH will in terms of a percentage gain, and so I think it's important. And like I said, I think they trade at like way higher multiples to what their future promise is. So anyway, and then I think some NFT in there, a little degeneracy. If you're going for the investors, like, listen, I haven't made it, but I want to see some significant growth.
Yeah, I remember what you're referring to too, because I was talking about what I'm going to buy if stuff nukes like tomorrow.
Right.
I think it's important to know like what I think a nuke is, right? I think I talked about maybe buying Phantom. Granted, this was before Andre left and the whole thing burned to the ground, but I don't think it's dead. And I think there is going to be a temporary market for L1s because ETH2 isn't really going to solve gas. And even though layer 2s are going to be cheaper, it's still going to be like a couple bucks for transactions on some of them, which for a lot of the world is still cost prohibitive, right? So there's maybe this Goldilocks window that comes up to buy these things. But I think when I said that, Phantom was like $2.
Right.
Like my target for Phantom, just so you have an idea, is like 30 cents, right? So when I'm saying I'm going to buy it, that wasn't on like a dip to $1.50, not a dip to $1. Like that was like, it's down 85, 90%, like total wreckage, which is a thing I think people don't grasp, right? They're like, oh, this thing's down 75%. Seems like a buy. But it can go down 75% and then go down like another like 60% after that, and then still not be at like full wreck level, which is crazy, which is why playing with a small amount of those is fine. Just I think it's reasonable to hedge. Like it's not 100% that ETH is going to take everything, right? It is reasonable to have a little bit of Solana.
I put it at 90%, which is why I was like, okay, like less than 10%.
Yeah. And like I'm probably hedging with like Solana, AVAX. I think Terra's worth a bit of a hedge, with Luna, even though I think it's probably a Ponzi. But if it's not a Ponzi, it's gonna go to the absolute moon.
It's a Ponzi that's working.
Near is probably gonna be like an epic trade at some point. And that's probably the thing I'm most bullish on, like short term.
Mm-hmm.
But I also hesitate to say this because I think most people in a 5-year portfolio aren't really trading. And I think the one thing
Correct.
that's probably left out of your portfolio because it doesn't exist yet, but it is going to exist soon, is like the L2 tokens.
True.
Yeah.
Right. So when like Arbitrum and Optimism drop a token, I'm sure initially they're going to dump to the ground. Probably. Oh, they'll probably do their little scam pump and then dump to the ground.
It's going to be
like
airdropped and people are going to liquidate.
Yeah,
right?
this is the case with all the airdrops. But I do think those are going to end up being maybe like higher beta ETH in like a really actually authentic higher beta ETH way, and they're probably worth having in your portfolio if you are a smaller guy and you're trying to get a bunch of return, which is fine.
I want to
Go
hear.
ahead,
I want to hear what yours is, but I first will make the point that I think that we're underestimating how many people trade this shit.
Yeah, so
Like-
that's where let me jump in.
Okay.
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
Can I take you guys on a little
Take
journey?
me on a journey.
Okay.
Thank you.
I want to tell you about my friend Billy.
Oh,
Okay.
Billy.
It's actually Armand.
So Billy's not Armand.
Does
He's-
Billy have a great
I'm
beard?
gonna tell you, I've actually got it done today. Thank you for noticing. Also, that
What
actually
does a-
might be in best purchases. Have your
what
barber.
does it mean to have a
your
beard done?
barber
Whoa,
do your
whoa,
beard?
whoa!
I'm
Keep
telling
him,
you.
Keep
Okay.
him waiting until the end.
Teasing, open loop. Okay, let me tell you about my friend Billy, because everything we talk about is exhilarating, but not digestible or approachable for the majority of people because they will not take the time, the energy to understand and execute. You guys, and myself included, trade more than the average person. So to Eric's point, so let me tell you about Billy. Billy's got a normal job. He works 9 to 5. It's white collar. He works in tech. He has a 401k. He buys stocks on Robinhood. He just bought his first home in Iowa for $500,000. I think it's a nice home there in Iowa. I don't know what that gets you in Iowa. And he has been hearing about crypto for the last 5 years incessantly, in particular over the last 2. He wants to get involved. And with the information that we have today, he has to decide what a Ronco set it and forget it portfolio would look like. Let's just call it a 10-year portfolio, even for the sake of time horizon and discussion. So he's sitting here going like, I don't want to manage this. I don't want to trade. When new information does come to light, if I'm Billy and I wake up in 3 years, this doesn't mean I can't change allocation. This doesn't mean I can't move things around, but I have to go with what I know today. And the majority of people that are sitting on $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000 in cash and they want to start investing it are looking at it this way. So the way that they may start allocating, or the way that I would probably start allocating it, is my allocation is pretty close to yours, Nick. It's slightly more Bitcoin. I would say it's something like 50% Ethereum, 30% Bitcoin, and 20% of this like NFTs, stable coins, shit coins, YOLO bets, just this whole bag of shit. Because I'm young and I like the idea of the upside. Because when Billy comes to us, the first thing he says is like, dude, tell me about Doge. Tell me about Shiba. Tell me about the one that's going to make me a multi fucking millionaire.
And that's my point, is that
Billy's not investing; he's gambling.
But what
we're
my-
going to teach him how to invest.
My point is
with
that
a little bit of room to gamble.
even if you look at the stats that Robinhood puts out, because they're a public company now, like people are trading on Robinhood. They're not 10-year planning investing.
Right.
So we're like, you might want to tell Billy to like, hey, here's a better way to do it. But Billy's actually a trader.
Right.
He's not what you're describing.
He's going to fuck up though by doing that. Like the majority of people are, and the majority of people are getting burned with NFTs and with crypto in general.
Vast majority.
Because they're FOMOing in, they're buying Shiba, they're buying bullshit, they're buying Cumcoin or whatever the fuck, and they're getting
But
robbed.
Armand, only if
Come
it goes
rocket.
to $1. If Shiba goes to $1, I'll be a
And these are the
multimillionaire.
things that they're looking for. They're
Safe
looking for the
moon.
coins that are like a few cents because they don't even know how to look at the market cap properly.
Okay, so this
and
is
associate it
okay,
next to
let me-
everything
let me
else.
stop you there.
ApeCoin's another example.
Let me stop you there because this is actually better context than what we gave before. So for the Billies of the world who are actually a little bit lost and trading,
But excited
whimsically and excited,
Knowledgeable.
okay, so with that guy, what do you tell that guy? Because I don't think Billy is just going to be like, okay, Ethereum 3K, set it, and 10 years later opens his app up again. Like he's going to fucking open it.
I
every
think
day
you're
like everybody
assuming
else.
Billy's. You've made a couple comments that Billy's pretty degen about this. I don't think so. I think we have a lot of friends, maybe even people that listen to this podcast, that want this portfolio, that aren't like sitting there gambling and trading. I want to speak to those people.
Okay, so
I'm not talking about a gambler. I'm not talking
Okay,
about
so
that
like I
person.
think there's a difference between somebody with $1,000
Yeah.
and somebody with $100,000.
Yep.
Like if your Billy is 100K, like that guy can sit in ETH and let it go, but the guy who has like $1,000, if ETH triples, he has 3K. He has not made it yet. Like that, it takes him 5 years.
But let's talk about like what a typical person, like, okay, Billy, so middle class, got a good job, or upper class, got a good job. Let's assume that he already has his 401k, his house, right? He wants to start putting money into crypto. Let's just say he can put $10,000 to $20,000 a year into crypto.
Wait, can I jump in here for a second? Because it sounds like people are like, oh, but Billy hasn't made it. Billy can't buy Bitcoin because he hasn't made it. Okay, but there's a difference between choosing an asset that is like, I'm trying not to say the word Sharpe ratio here because nobody's going to want to talk about it. But there's a difference there's a difference between choosing an asset that has an expectation of high growth but extreme volatility versus an asset that is just gambling, right? So a good example of this is like Bitcoin and Ether, right?
Yep.
I would say if you don't know what you're doing in the space, you just buy Bitcoin, you buy Ether, right? And then see, people are like, well, Billy wants to gamble, right? Well, last time I checked, the optimal portfolio from like a Sharpe ratio perspective, I think was something like 70% Bitcoin, 30% Ethereum.
Right.
The first step, if you want to quote unquote gamble, is to just max out Ethereum in that portfolio. At least then you're in positive expectation land. You're just taking on more volatility for like a large positive expected return. There's a difference between that and then saying, I want to buy Floki.
Yeah.
I haven't made it. I want to buy Floki. Well, at that point, you're just buying a lotto ticket. You're not buying a positive expected return with like really high volatility. You're just buying a lotto ticket, right?
True.
So that's super key.
True. Yeah. There's a spectrum here. There's levels to this, right? So I completely agree. That's why I would tell my friend Billy to allocate a small amount, like let's just call it 10% because he's young, of his entire crypto portfolio to these. I just heard that Arbitrum was going to do this.
Lotto tickets.
Yeah, ApeCoin is about to get listed on Coinbase, and my friend told me I'm going to put 2% over there. Why not? It allows him to participate
Right.
in a more active way and allow the remaining 80 to 90% to just sit for 5 to 10 years. And Billy's going to be fucking rich in 5 to 10 years if he can just leave that whatever blend of Bitcoin and Ethereum that he wants alone. Guaranteed, regardless of what happens in this economy.
Richer.
I think
richer.
richer.
I mean,
richer.
you're not going to start
Not financial
$1,000
advice.
and get rich
Yeah,
off
not
$1,000
financial
in
advice,
Bitcoin
yes.
or ETH. But to Steven's point, I was just looking at the ETH bond thing that we were talking about before and comparing it to actual bonds. Like high yield corporate bonds are kind of like a proxy. These are like junk bonds, they call them. Junk bonds are yielding 4% and change, and ETH is about to yield double digits. And like, what company do you prefer? Like ETH or what's in this fucking ETF junk bond? It's like Teva Pharmaceuticals bond yielding 4%. Like, what would you rather have? I would rather have ETH just without the yield. I'd rather have ETH than Teva Pharmaceuticals debt, and ETH is going to pay you more. So I think your point is correct. Like, ETH as a bond is not priced correctly today. Like a correctly priced ETH would probably be something that's yielding about 4% in high yield bond territory.
Yeah, and so I think we should wrap this like segment. And I think the biggest things that I've learned are you're saying the smartest move by far, like within, especially coming from your background,
In absolute
is
terms,
coins.
stablecoins are the highest risk return Sharpe ratio that has
Yeah.
ever existed in my lifetime.
Yeah, which is an incredible statement.
But
right?
you can't make it with a low dollar amount.
Correct.
Earning just 20%.
No, it'd just be like watching your portfolio stay safe and rise over time.
Starting with $1,000 in 1 year, you'd make $200, and that's not going to
Yeah.
change anyone's life.
Yeah, correct. And Steven is even more heavy than any of us on stablecoins, given because you're paying the most attention to the market and you're very bearish short term on the market,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I also probably still own more crypto as a percentage of my net worth
Than a lot of people. Yeah.
So when I say I'm massively unstable, it's like that's like a year ago I was like 125% of my net worth long in crypto, and not like actual long beta.
Not degen enough. Not degen enough.
Yeah. So
If only you went DJ and you would have made it.
So the amount I hold is still probably an amount that would make most people's eyes bleed in terms of the percentage of their net worth they have to take on, like, is daily volatility.
But even you just bought $100K worth of some shitcoin last night.
No, I didn't. I just aped stables into a shit farm.
Oh, well, stables. There you go.
Your therapist might be making more money than you are. If I had to hold that much in crypto, my net worth, therapists feel like it'd be the moneymaker. It's like
need a new
lawyers in a
therapist.
business.
Who's that girl on Axe
somebody.
Capital? Like, who's that?
Wendy?
That? Yeah,
Wendy Rhodes?
Yeah.
Hey, everyone needs their Wendy Rhodes. I
need
fully
Wendy
back that.
so badly.
Armand, what's next?
I thought I would just note a couple things since they're related to what we talked about. So like we just went high level, right? Like 5-year, 10-year crypto portfolio. In episode 1, we covered Bitcoin. So like, go listen to that if you really want to understand the context of Bitcoin and energy and our approach to it. And then we did a pretty Ethereum focused episode. I want to say there it is, 11, the greatest trade of all time, the triple halving Ethereum. And then obviously we've talked about stablecoins. So that's going to be episodes 17 and 18 where we really went deep on these things. 17 was specifically Terra. 18 was you guys went super deep on ETH staking and stablecoins. So just referencing those. But between all those pieces, I think you really hit at, and NFTs. And I think just ending it by saying, look, like the NFTs that you buy, everyone has their own perspective on that. I look at them as either collectibles, items that you would collect anyway, or businesses that you want to own the stock of. That's my new approach to it. I think it's a healthy approach. And it makes me feel like, okay, a certain percentage of my crypto portfolio is just these individual stocks. So cool. What's next, Nick?
We're going to talk a little Elon, Twitter, and try to understand where this thing might go. I don't know if you guys want to talk the free speech aspect of it. I don't know if you want to talk about like where we think this is going to end.
Why don't you just recap us where we sit right now?
Right. So Elon made a bid of like $54.20. He
420.
included a little 420 meme in there as a buyout. I think it was like something like a 50% premium to where he originally started purchasing Twitter shares at. Since then,
premium over the existing stock price.
yeah, it's certainly a premium. I don't know what the exact premium is now. And his point was, hey, listen, your shareholders are going to love it. You're going to get a premium. And his plan is to essentially take it private because he wants to make some changes, and he thinks only those changes can be made as a private company without the public scrutiny of being, a publicly traded company and stock. So since then, the board has implemented a common defense mechanism called a poison pill, which allows existing shareholders, if a single shareholder purchases more than, I think, 15% of the company, allows the existing shareholders to purchase more stock at a severely discounted price, essentially making...
diluting Elon.
Diluting the would-be acquirer, the person who holds 15%, kind of makes it economically not viable for them. And it's worked historically in different scenarios. I think in the 80s and 90s there was a lot more big corporate raiders who were looking over to overtake. I'm looking at the Sharpe ratio on my thing anyway. And Steven's peeking into my screen, and I was looking at like the optimal Sharpe ratio
Sorry,
strategy.
I thought you had the actual poison pill.
Breakdown in front of you. I don't. But in any case, they implemented a poison pill. So now,
Yeah, they get to buy at a 50% discount
50% discount
to
So
market.
you-
Like, that's
you-
amazing.
So the idea is that, okay, big boy, you want to come buy our shares? Well, these existing shareholders are going to be able to buy more,
We'll buy more.
shares, diluting you, making your kind of ROI in the whole situation not really viable. So now the board still has to make a decision on whether they want to accept his offer. They it doesn't necessarily, because they adopted the poison pill, it doesn't preclude
Who's
themselves
this
from
Saudi king who's fighting back or something?
Yeah,
Some prince?
I don't know who the actual holder is. I assume it's like some sovereign
Come on,
wealth
man.
fund.
This guy
He's
talking
not
to
into taking
you
it
guys.
private. And the board still has to decide if they're going to accept the offer, but it's part of the due diligence process where they're probably going to have to look at other offers. So what's probably happening right now is Elon's probably assuming they're not going to take the offer, probably game planning on the side. Meanwhile, this brought up a whole other slew of potential acquirers, what are called white knights. So, the board is in charge of Twitter stock, and they're, listen, we don't want this aggressive takeover candidate who's basically going to fire us all and take it public. Maybe could we find a white knight, maybe a Microsoft, maybe a Google, maybe another big entity who will come in.
Defeats the whole purpose in so many ways.
Oh, you don't want Apollo private equity firm to take over Twitter?
Wait,
The
doesn't
whole-
doesn't
whole
the board
thing-
only collectively own like
nothing.
0.2% of?
Yeah.
Yes, if
Nothing.
you exclude Jack
yeah.
Dorsey, it's some infinitesimal amount, which I don't necessarily blame that, because you kind of like hire on board directors, third parties.
Sure, but
I
this
blame
tells
it.
us
Like,
how
that's so stupid. Like, why should somebody? Like, why should an entire board of people who are making decisions like have no skin in the game?
So I totally agree with that point, Stephen. I think that the reason that this is exciting in the first place is because it really appears like the citizens of America and the world and the shareholders are for this. And so to not actually put that up, as a vote to shareholders rather than just the board, it just feels like a con. And he's totally right that's like, it's completely unfair and it makes no sense.
So this would be interesting, because I agree. Like, I think the typical method of appointing board seats is like, well, this guy has some experience and this guy will help us in PR and whatever. But what I'd really like to see is the top institution holders have a kind of proxy to represent the institution and sit on the board, because they're the major holders. Vanguard Group, Morgan Stanley, BlackRock, State Street. I'm just rattling off the top holders. I think that would be more aligned for the company and the shareholders if they had representatives of their biggest holders in there.
It's interesting. They're clearly not taking into account the fiduciary interests of their investors. They also seem to not be taking into account the interests of their users.
Mm-hmm.
So whose interests are they taking into account?
Probably their own.
The ones of their own ego.
Their own.
Who is they though? In
the
this
board.
instance? The board. These like
a board.
random people with
A
no
board
shares?
has a pretty cushy job. They preside over a couple meetings.
Did you guys see they have MBA in their titles?
Oh God, that one that pisses you off
Nice.
more than anything.
Nice. Okay, I'm NBA. Yeah, sweet.
Fuck.
Okay, so
Yes, MBA.
Do you think they're required, or do you think they were like, you know what? Let's put MBA after.
So
my
they
thing.
know that if Elon takes over, they're all going to be fired or
Right.
replaced, and they want to maintain their little cushy role.
They're obsolete if Elon takes
Oh,
over.
of course.
Yeah.
So they want to maintain their little role. Like,
Yeah,
of course, it's like they're
of course.
acting in self-interest.
So here's what Elon could do. He could embark on a proxy battle, which is not fun, probably going to take a long time, but he could basically say, I want to bypass the board. And so the only way to do that is to engage in a proxy battle in which every year shareholders can elect who the board seats are. So he could basically make a pitch to all the shareholders. If you watch Succession, you may have seen this play out in like an HBO series, and essentially appeal to the shareholders and say, listen, let's put new board seats in line. Let's vote for these new members who are essentially aligned with his plan to probably take it public. And he could appeal directly to shareholders. So we'll see if he has a plan B, supposedly.
He said it on his TED. TED just happened, like the TED annual, in Vancouver, which apparently, have you guys ever been? It's supposed to be
It's
like
always
the best
been
event ever.
the toughest place to get
I
tickets.
thought it was
Yeah.
in Monterey. Did they change it?
Oh, I thought it's in Vancouver every year.
Monterey, California.
Monterey.
Okay, no, there's definitely, it's Vancouver, 100%.
Agree to disagree.
Agreed to disagree.
I won't allow it. No, it's in the TED, like whatever just happened last week is in Vancouver.
Okay.
Okay, we'll figure it out. Because my friend from Miami was going there. It's always in Vancouver. He'd go in there, and then
All
he
right,
got
this is not
COVID.
useful. It's either in Monterey or Vancouver. Move on.
Yeah, get to the point.
Fine, but he got COVID. I still think it's funny. He got COVID and got stuck for an extra 2 weeks in Canada. So anyway, when he was doing that, the interview that I sent you guys, and I told you to watch as well, Steven, I think it might shift your.
I watched it.
Okay,
I have plenty of thoughts on
I've
it.
been noticing.
I'm going to disallow this tangent, which I feel is coming up. I'm going to disallow it.
Tangent is rising.
He's bringing up a couple of Elon's like points.
Objection, Your Honor, sustained.
Focus it on the Twitter thing.
Anyway, so he did say, I completely lost the whole thread. Doesn't even matter.
Okay, so
anymore.
in that speech, a couple of things that I found interesting was like the interviewer, like the head of
Chris Anderson,
he like
founder of Wired,
of
Wired magazine,
and I think he like runs the TED Talk. He asked Elon, he's like, okay, so how would you fix Twitter? He's like, okay, you want to make it free speech, but speech has never been free. Like he used the example. He's like, you can say something like, I don't like this politician, I wish he wasn't alive. And you can even go further and say like, I don't like this politician, I wish he was dead. But you can't go like, I'm going to kill this guy, and here's his address. And here's his child's school schedule, I'm going to kill them too.
Elon had a very clear answer to
No, his
this.
answer was, I don't know.
No, his answer was
His
clear.
answer was like, you can't
it
do
was the
anything
law.
that violates the law of the country.
He had a very clear answer.
It's pretty clear.
The local
When
law.
it got really nuanced, he was like, look, I don't know. We'll figure those things out. I'm not going to get into like, but that's always been the case that like,
It's very difficult.
And Steven, if you remember, we discussed this shit back like when we were first discussing Twitter during like George Floyd stuff and like everything that was happening with like January 6th and where the line was with Trump and how far he could take it and what was free speech versus what was hate speech and where the line should be. The reality is it's up to the law. Like that's where the line should be. So the
local law. I mean, laws are different everywhere.
In every
Twitter's
country.
global.
It's gotta be the- it's
and
gotta be
Twitter's
the-
Yeah,
global.
but Twitter's not even with the U.S. law. So let's cross that bridge first, and then we can argue the other nuances. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think his main point was that we're going to follow the First Amendment. And whatever case law decides, we're going to try our best. It's not black and white, but we're going to try our best to follow that. And then from there, we kind of...
Yeah, and he said, when in doubt, let's allow it. When in doubt, which means that gray area, that small gray area.
Try to lean on the side of free speech and freedom. Yeah.
Could it be so that's an interesting thought. Do you guys think that's dangerous?
I don't think it's possible to run Twitter as a private company, honestly. I don't think it's possible to ever reach some Goldilocks solution where everything is fine. I think something like Twitter is like the very essence of protocol that we just need to be decentralized. I don't think there's any other solution for it. I think that in 100 years, whatever the equivalent of Twitter is, it will be like the equivalent of like the Uniswap protocol, which is deployed out there and nobody can change it. And then people can build whatever front end on top of it that they want, you know? People want to have a front end that's compliant with the US or compliant with UK, or they want to use a front end that censors a bunch of stuff because they're triggered very easily. I think that's ultimately the solution. But I don't think there's any way he's going to just come in and magically tweak a couple of things and everything's fine, you know?
I can't even ignore that because that couldn't have been any more obvious on my screen.
Eric is just stealing my
Oh
thunder.
my God, it's just crept under
Could have kept it non-obvious for the
I
listeners.
can't. No, at least half your body was in the video. All right, and go. Continue.
Armand's wife just photobombed us.
We'll allow it. We'll allow it. No, I totally agree. Do you guys think that that's dangerous, the free speech aspect of things at all in the first place?
No, but I think we'll see. I think it's dangerous on either side, and we'll see how it
I
plays
think it
out,
might be
you know?
interesting to like maybe steelman that argument because I don't think anybody here really
No.
believes that in essence. But like, why could it be true? Like, there clearly are instances, right, where unfettered speech can be harmful, right? Like, I don't know, if a bunch of people were like openly plotting the nuclear bombing of the capital of the United States and doing it all on Twitter, right? That would obviously be an instance of people speaking that both violates the actual First Amendment as ruled on by judges, and also anything that like a supermajority, absolute 99% of people in the country would agree is not good, right?
Yeah.
But then where is the line on that? Like, where does that become like more of a shades of gray area, you know?
Yeah.
I think the call for violence one is where it gets
This is
blurry.
what's protected, right? This is where we...
Yeah, but I think it's still not that simple. Like, what actually constitutes a
Right.
call for
and
violence?
honestly, the hard part is like delineating what crosses the line, because an algorithm can't do it very well. So it has to be a human in most cases, and like what human is like designated to be the judge of that. It's hard.
Yep, very. I'm going to ask a question that might have some different takes here. Do you guys think his intentions are good? What do you think his intentions are?
I think his intentions are very clear and very, very, very fine. You know, he wants freedom, and he.
Why would he want to spend such a massive amount of money?
Well, he's not going to spend all of it. Let's
Sure,
be clear.
funding
Like,
secured,
maybe you'll
right?
put $10 billion in it, right?
Yeah,
And
but like $10 billion? Like,
yeah, if I had $100 plus
something
billion
that-
dollars,
This is clearly not a profit motivated decision.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. He said he didn't care about the finances of this.
Do you believe that?
Yes.
He's
A lot of people think he's just full of shit.
Twitter loses money.
No, he's not gonna
Let's
make
be
any
clear.
money on
Like,
this.
it is not a profitable
He's not
business.
going to make money, and he doesn't intend to make money on this.
This is like a deeper, like, kind of philosophical discussion of like, what can you ever really truly be selfless, right? Is the person who gives his entire
you
net
be?
worth to charity,
Yeah.
is he actually being selfish, or is he actually getting some real value in exchange for that? That's maybe not measured in money, but like he is.
He gets 17 cool points
Yeah, he
for
is
buying Twitter.
He is engaging in some transaction, right? And like I would argue that Elon, in this instance, it's a mixture of both. What he's doing is partially selfless, maybe, but I also think it's just a part of a larger.
Yeah. I don't
brand
expect
that
anybody,
he's
though,
pushing,
to
right?
not do something with some other than like a profit.
If you
Like
think this is pure
a saint.
altruism, like I have a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you.
No, I don't think that it's pure altruism by any means. But I just mean, is the underlying motive good or bad in that he wants what's best for others, or in that he's simply trying to win this game of power and control, and he's actually like some evil global dictator?
I don't think he's
that
evil.
a lot of people
I
believe he
think
is.
Elon is pretty narcissistic, but his narcissism manifests in a way that's generally good for humanity, so I'm okay with it.
I mean,
But I think his baseline is that he, like, you know, sort of
That's an interesting way to put it, but I
it
don't think I
fucking
can
matters.
agree that
Who
he's.
cares? Like, it's going to be better for people, and that's fine. Who cares what his motive is? Who cares?
I think what more matters is the board of directors here. I think that's the story, because what we've talked about is, like, you know, centralized or individuals and decentralized making decisions. And whether it's COVID policy or the Federal Reserve or like corporate boards, like there are a small group of people who make decisions for a wider group of people. And in this situation, there's a handful of people making decisions for Twitter shareholders. And I think it's pretty interesting to see how they react. And I think most of the story and the criticism should be focused on them, because, you know, they had this like event happen. An individual offers, you know, more than the company's worth now for money. That's one thing. I don't think that's the true story. It's like, okay, what's the board going to do?
That is a more interesting conversation. But if you don't like the centralization of 12 individuals, how about one?
But it's not going to be one, right? He's not going to be the only shareholder that takes over, right? He might be one of the largest holders as a percentage, but there's still going to be a wide swath of investors. He's even stated, like, I want to take, I think the most allowed by law is 300 individual shareholders that can take, you know, be in a private.
More, right?
It might be thousands, but
thousands,
yeah,
yeah.
but anyway, like,
It's like 40,000 or something.
what's weird to me is that they
Fact check me,
enacted
please.
the poison pill so quickly. Like, what I would thought, if I was a profit motivated board, I'd be like, cool, we got a bid. Let's see if we can get any other bids that are higher, and let's shop this thing out. Like, we got a bid for
David Sachs has had some really good takes on this lately. Like, he's been illuminating a lot of things you're talking about.
What do you think is his best take? Let's just get down to the.
I don't know. Like, I just opened this one right now. New Twitter CEO checklist. Open source the algorithm. Well, these are all things Elon said. Eliminate all bots. Restore free speech. Implement Coinbase policy on workplace politics. Fire useless employees, approximately 50%. And no more company-wide days of rest. Take vacation if you're tired.
Yeah, a lot of those are like virtue signaling. Like,
Yeah.
what is like fire useless employees mean? That's a matter of opinion. What does like enable free speech mean? That's like you know.
So here was the one I really liked, which was related to the previous point. If the game is fair, Elon will buy Twitter. If the game is rigged, there will be some reason why he won't be able to. We're about to find out how deep the
No,
corruption
if the game is fair, they'll take the highest offer.
the game
right?
is
Like,
the game is obviously rigged.
Yes.
It's obviously rigged.
because you have people who
Not
don't
by-
have the same, who are in charge, who don't have the same incentives as the collective that they're managing, which is you know,
Okay.
the way it is.
I'm tired of
This reminds This reminds
Are
me
you-
of the
are
thing
you
you
closing
see in.
this?
I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's close it down. This reminds me of the thing you see in politics where the both sides get together and they like just posture knowing that neither side is going to budge, nothing is going to happen, and they both get to score little kudos points with their sides. That's what this reminds me of.
Agreed. I think the world would be a better place if Twitter does go private, but I tend to agree with Steven that I still don't think that's the not that there
private
is
with Elon.
any yes,
Like
not that
Elon.
there private with Elon. Not that there is any ultimate solution. Change is the only constant. It's always got to improve. But I do think a decentralized Twitter eventually is the winner. Surprised he's not just doing that and playing the long game, but
I'm not surprised because I don't think it's ultimately about all of that. I think
Right.
a lot of it is about this short-term posturing,
Yeah.
his own image, stuff like that.
yeah,
you know?
I don't think he's a narcissist though.
What's next?
Had to push back on that.
I think
one.
that's insane, but we
He
can agree
clearly
to disagree there.
Yeah,
I think we've
clearly is.
covered the meat and potatoes of this, so we can
Thank you.
What's
we can
next?
probably move it on.
Thanks, guys.
So, Steven, this is your proposed.
Best purchases.
This is actually your proposed topic. So, what are we
Yeah.
talking about, and what are we going after?
Oh, I thought it would be a nice little kind of palate cleanser to just talk about the
This'll be
stuff
good.
we've bought in our life that we think brings us actual value. We talk a lot about how there's this idea of hedonic adaptation, and where anything you buy eventually just becomes your baseline, and you need to buy more. But like reflecting on what you've actually bought that has truly brought value, and you don't really yearn for more of it. You are just really happy. You feel like you exchanged money, you got a good, and it's the benefit has persisted.
Yeah,
through time.
sustainable.
Yes.
Maybe a factor of joy that it gives you.
Yes.
And you don't need
and-
more, is what you're saying. Like,
Yes.
you're just like
Also-
satiated.
Yeah, or like high value return. Really, return on investment is very high.
This would be a cool topic. Why don't you
It's
lead
a
it
very
off?
cool topic.
Would you like me to lead it off?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, really
I don't know if
curious.
you're gonna be able.
He's
to
gonna have
follow.
some good ones. I feel like.
I'll lead with one of mine, I guess.
Are yours that good? Holy shit!
I think it's very good. My favorite product I have ever bought costs $19 on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
It is a bidet that you can just attach to any toilet seat.
Oh,
yeah.
hell yeah.
Yeah. I bought one of these bad boys God, I don't even know. It seems like it's always been a part of my life, but I think I only bought one like 4 years ago.
Is your butthole happier?
My butthole is so clean all the time. It is just
I can attest to that.
always absolutely flawless.
yeah.
I don't know
You
how I
have a
went through life before
European
this.
butthole.
Cleaner than ever.
I'm very anti-Europe, like America and a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
this is not
This
one
is
of
Wait,
those.
aren't there
those-
some countries that only have bidets? Like,
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
Japanese
is-
toilets?
Yeah, I feel like all of Europe doesn't have bidets either. I think
Not all of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like they're popular.
But the Toto
in India and
9000,
Japan.
Japan's taking the bidet to another level. They go with
We're the
warmers.
only-
There's
But
there's
why have we
fans.
not innovated on the toilet? It's the only thing that's looked the same for 50 years.
It's so ridiculous if you think about it, right?
It's
Like
insane.
you take a little poo and then you take a bunch of paper and you just smear it.
This is incredible.
Like Armand, imagine
It's really bad. It's
imagine
really
if you took
bad.
a crap in your hand like a monkey and you just threw it on the wall, right? And I was like, Armand, please clean that
it.
up.
Clean it.
And you just took a dry piece of paper
Here's
towel
some paper
and
towel.
just rubbed the wall.
and left the
You
whole
just left
state.
it. You walked away. You're like, there it is.
That's every American's ass.
what all of you are doing with your butts right now. You don't have bidets. It's insane.
Okay,
I
that's
refuse to believe
that's pretty good.
It's not insane.
That's pretty good. So you're taking Windex and
He's doing a full car wash.
What kind of sprinkler is your bidet? Is it the one that shoots out 5 streams and in
No,
a
so-
wave,
so
or
I
is it
will
a
say,
straight
I
shot?
still own the most basic bitch of bottom tier ones, right? I actually did almost buy this $900 Toto one. I saw it.
Oh yeah,
It had
Toto's amazing.
It had a
Heated seat, yeah.
It had a
Warm
temperature
water.
controlled spray.
Yes.
The velocity it came out was very controlled.
Yes.
Which is kind of
male
a big deal.
female setting as well.
You can give yourself
Up
an involuntary
or sideways.
enema very
Yeah.
easily. if
You been to
Yeah.
Japan?
Oh yeah.
Okay, the buttons. There's so many buttons. I don't even know what to press. I just mash the keypad, and
Everyone there, everyone there
everything's
probably-
happening.
Everyone has hemorrhoids. They just don't get up.
Enema button.
They're just sitting there for hours.
They also have the male and the female ones. There's like two
Yeah.
streams, right? So if you hit the wrong one, it hits like a weird part of you. You're like,
Yeah.
why is that spraying
Did
there?
I enjoy that?
Germany has a lot of
Japanese yen is crashing. These guys are still innovating on their toilets.
So wait a second, Steven. I can buy a topper, put it on my toilet, like $19 on
Yeah,
Amazon.
sub $20.
I'm buying that right now.
That's a
5
good one.
minutes
That's a
worth.
good
Just
one.
That was very good.
I will. You have to make sure that I made this mistake. Like I lived in a bathroom before. I moved to a new place where like it didn't fit on one side.
certain style.
The left versus the right hand
Okay.
side kind of.
No, I'm
matters.
seriously going to
Small
buy
detail.
this, and I'll report back next week.
You should just send it on the $700 total.
Yeah,
one,
probably.
Honestly,
Just rip the
go
whole
all out.
toilet out.
Very good. What do you got?
You know what? I'll hit the easy one. Hummingbird feeder. I mentioned this to you guys. So yeah.
Wait, where is
Hold on. New place. Got to bust it out. Old place.
Oh, wasn't that valuable?
I know. I got to find a spot for it. Hummingbird feeder is like, in terms of ROI of joy, being able to attract, like, I know, who is it? Were you saying that?
I hate birds.
Yeah.
I fucking hate birds so much.
I forgot who was saying
You're
that.
gonna bring in more
Yeah,
birds?
I can't
No,
wait.
less birds.
I want more birds,
No.
more magic.
Pass.
Birds floating around my balcony, especially at the old place where it was like on the canyon, was like the most beautiful
There's
thing
like
ever.
even bigger bugs. No, get out. Get out of here.
No way.
I'm very pro
These
birds,
are
for the
incredible beings.
I know a lot of people who shall not be named who are very anti-bird.
Yeah, so it's like 20 to 30 bucks. And especially if you live in an area where you have a backyard or you have a little garden or whatever, it provides like an incredible joy. So yeah, we'll go
I like
that
the
one.
sound at times, like the little chirping.
Oh, he's coming
You're in the
around.
backyard, you hear the
Nice.
chirping. But I don't want to see them. Don't fly near me.
That's good. That wasn't as clippable as mine, but
No,
I went
not
back
even
through my
close.
purchases and I realized I don't make very many product purchases. I
You sound
don't
like-
buy a lot of things,
you're minimalist.
but not really. Like there's a bunch of crap in my
you guys
place.
you guys got a watch on.
Yeah. So
He tucks it away.
But I,
So you like things, but you're just bad at them.
CryptoPunk.
no, like I buy things
Does
and
your
then like
CryptoPunk give you joy?
yeah, it does give me joy in
There you go.
the positive ROI it gives me.
But that
Yes.
costs
Also,
less than
the
$20.
multifamily real estate investments give me the most joy.
Okay.
Every quarter, I get to look at the distributions that come up.
Investments
Joy of
don't
freedom.
count.
Investments don't count. Okay.
Product.
So at one point, I bought 10 6-foot iPhone chargers.
Nice.
My house is an
Ah,
octopus
yeah.
of iPhone chargers, but I live a free life. I'm not constrained to any one wall. I can go anywhere in my house, and there's an iPhone charger at any point in time. Because the iPhone is probably the best ROI product I think I've purchased in terms of life changing. But don't constrain yourself. Buy these 6-foot iPhone chargers for the bed, for the kitchen, living room, office, everywhere. I think it's like the thing that set me free the most.
Yeah,
That's
they
a
made
good
them.
one.
They made them 3 feet long on purpose just for you. to
Yeah,
buy the
no,
6
no,
foot.
the stock one
Stock
is
one
like,
is like a foot.
18 inches. It's
Yeah.
like, what am I
Is
going to
it
do?
really?
Like sit in a corner next
I
to
bought
the
some
outlet?
3-footers and I was left wanting more.
Go 6
more
foot.
feet.
All right, what do you got?
Mine is it's not necessarily a product. It's like a subscription, but I bought membership to a tennis club.
Oh, yeah.
And this is particularly useful because we moved to a new neighborhood, and this was like a social. It provided like social as well as fitness, and tennis is something I enjoy, so I'm doing that. But I think it's not really a product. If I was going to go product, cheap product, it's the Theragun. So after tennis, I just
Because you're an elite athlete.
I thought
just
about
wail
that.
on my calves.
Do you know
right after.
I own 5 of those things? Well, I have
What?
purchased 5 of those things. Well, I
You
bought the
hire people
Theragun, the
to-
Theragun Pro, the Hypervolt Plus, and then I bought
Hypervolt's
the
great.
Hypervolt. The Hypervolt,
That's
by
what
the
I have.
way, is better than the Theragun.
Correct.
I will die on that
Yeah.
hill. But I will echo this sentiment.
It's good.
No,
It
that's
is
awesome.
It was nixed because it cost significantly more than $20, but
Well, I got the one from Costco. It was $99, but that
it's
was
not
pretty
bad.
solid.
It's not bad.
Sharper image.
I think it's an incredible thing if you don't have it.
Wailing on my calves.
Amazing.
I think second contention and honorable mention is the global entry TSA.
That was on my
what's
list.
What's it called? TSA
So
pre-check.
you can get pre-check
That's
and
US
global entry
Yeah, it's
in one.
US citizens only.
And you
so-
might as well throw Clear right
Sentry
in there
Pass in
as
there
well.
too.
And Sentry.
Dude.
I just signed up for Clear last month, and I didn't think I would use it because it's not at every airport the way TSA pre-check is. But then I showed up one time. I'm like, look at these peasants in the regular line. I'm just going to get in pre-check here.
Fully undressing.
And then I was just like, wait. The peasants are in the pre-check line. Look at this clear line. No one's in it.
Joke's
Just
on
went
you
right
till
for
our
it.
million listeners buy the pre-check.
And then the real people are looking at me with their jets going, peasant. I'm just going to roll right up. Anyway, why don't we do the rest of ours in one? So I'll go with like a few if you guys have more.
I don't have any more.
You don't have any more? You
Nah,
only have one?
I don't buy things.
I looked at my Amazon purchase. I don't buy many things.
I'm not buying this.
I just have
at
the one
all
Armand
whatsoever.
told me not to use because it was too expensive.
Okay, no,
What?
go with it. Go with it.
Go. What do you
Which
got?
one?
Oh,
I'm going to go to my Amazon orders while we're talking.
All right, I'm gonna plug the 8 Sleep mattress topper.
Yes, do it.
Yes. Can I take a poll, by the way? How much does your bed cost?
I think
Putting you on
the
the spot.
it was probably like $800. I
It
think.
was like
Wow.
$1,000.
Wow.
Fake temper.
Like we're talking the bed,
Like
the mattress, everything.
or
No,
everything.
like the mattress.
I have a
would say.
Lisa mattress.
$1,000.
Hybrid.
Everything all
mattress
in.
too.
Lisa hybrid mattress.
Everything all in was like $4,500.
Okay.
Whoa.
Do you own
But
an 8 Sleep?
it's a Tempur-Pedic, but the majority of the cost, at least half the cost, was the frame and the split thing, and it moves and stuff.
Okay. I felt like a what when I told people that I bought like a $1,700 mattress topper, right? But then when I thought about it, I was like, okay, everybody owns like minimum $800,000 mattress, like who is doing all right, and I know people who own $3,000-$4,000 mattresses,
Right.
and then that mattress is sitting up on like some frame that costs between $1,000 and $5,000. You know, if you're kind of
Fact.
sending it, right? But none of that really helps you. Like your mattress kind of helps you sleep a little bit, but I think it's like a meme. I think one of the biggest things that helps you sleep is temperature. You know, at least for me. And this thing, I bought this thing in November, and it changed my life. It changed my life. It basically has like a water cooling system, right? And it reads your heart rate or some shit. I don't know, a bunch of stuff. And it automatically like adjusts the temperature of the bed depending on like when you're going to bed and the sleep cycles and everything. It took like a month for this thing to actually work. There were times where I was like, this is such a waste of money. I woke up in the middle of the night. I felt like I was sleeping on like an Antarctic ice sheet. It was so cold. I wanted to die.
Like it wasn't regulating properly.
It
wasn't
like does some
adjusting?
like algorithm, I think, where it swings back and forth to find like the equilibrium.
Got
So
it.
there were these points in the early days where like I literally woke up and thought I was gonna die of like hypothermia, and that wasn't fun. But like 3 months later, I love this thing so much. Like every night I get into bed, it's like nice and cold, and I'm just like, ooh, and I put like the covers on, and I feel comforted, and then it's like cold for deep sleep, but when I hit REM, it like warms up a little bit, which I'm told is really good because you don't want to be
I've heard
too
REM's
cold.
pretty good. Dude, when we take trips together as a crew and we go to an Airbnb, I actually worry about Steven. Will he be able to sleep? I'm worried. Are you going to be okay, man?
No, I am like the princess in the pea at this point. I have my sleep mask, you know, just full light blockage, any light, and I wake up. I need my bed to be completely temperature controlled, not just like one cycle, but like for five different points in the night. And then
Trying not to laugh in the mic.
yeah, I know. And the wake up cycle is so nice. Like you guys wake up to like some loud noise or something. I wake up to a gentle vibration that slowly increases. It's like a little wave that like wakes me up in the morning. I'm like, ooh, ooh. And then I wake up.
It's
Roll
luxurious.
front side down.
I feel like a peasant.
But it's not even. It's just like you can finance it. It's like
Yeah.
$10 a month. I mean,
Nice.
maybe not anymore with interest rates, but it was like a.
It's amazing.
Well
That's a
worth
good
it.
one.
I would have paid 10 times the cost of it.
I'm sold.
I sleep so good now.
Now, let's just say somebody was sleeping next to you, Steven. Let's just say, what if their temperature was like...
I'm so glad you asked. It turns out this bed has 2 settings.
Really?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's
So
huge.
your
Huge.
your partner, wife, one night stand, whatever, can set their own
Really?
settings. Yes, they can
just-
sleep in a Sahara desert, and you can sleep in,
Wow.
Upper Norway.
Wow. Okay.
It's all good.
That makes it a lock for me. That makes it a lock.
a good
I know.
one.
Sponsorship deal, please.
No, that's
Please.
great.
8 Sleep.
I got a couple more. The second iPhone, I think, is an absolute one of the best purchases I've ever made. You can get an iPhone 10 right now on Amazon, renewed, certified for like $250, which is amazing, and made me think like, why do we spend like $1,200 on our phones? It's not that much better anyway. And the reason for the second iPhone, I've talked about this in previous episodes, but mention it for people that are hearing it for the first time, is I create boundaries in my life now. I pop the same SIM into the second phone, and I use that phone on the weekends, and it only has the most essential apps on it: reading, music, maps, and just text. No like Slack, no Twitter, no Instagram, none of that stuff, no social media. Honestly, for me, I know this is like something that almost everybody has, but AirPods generate the third generation for me have been life-changing. Like, I have them in all the time. I have like 3 different pairs, and I think the Pros also have their own advantage to them. So I typically carry the AirPod Pros when I want noise canceling, and then I carry the AirPod 3s, Gen 3s, when I just want more like calls. I do a lot of calls, and for me, the ability to walk outside, go on calls, all that stuff. Everybody has AirPods. But when I combine those with the Bose noise canceling, the over-the-ear Quiet Comfort, I think they made a new version, but I have the Quiet Comfort 35 or whatever it's called.
You wear both at the same time?
No, no. But if I get on an airplane and I throw these Bose on, I get into a flow state unlike anything else in my life. So actually tomorrow, for this long ass 25-hour trip I have, I'm really looking forward to like time. It reminds me I should charge them up for that time. And then a couple other small ones. YouTube Premium. I told Nick about this. I told Steven about this, I think, as well. No, Steven, were you already on it?
Yes.
YouTube Premium is incredible.
Is that no ads?
Amazing
It's like $12 a month, and the value is amazing. Yeah, no ads.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, it might be.
It's amazing. Like,
it shocks you what a difference it makes in your experience.
To get specific, the biggest benefit is that you can close the app or like quiet your phone and still listen to the YouTube audio.
Close the
Like
screen.
Spotify.
The
You can close
biggest
the screen.
benefit is the lack of ads.
Okay, that's one. But to me,
But that you can scroll away.
Okay,
Yeah,
I actually
agree.
love-
Close your phone,
I
put it in
love-
your pocket,
You
and keep
can't
listening.
You can't close your phone with
No.
regular
Not
YouTube.
with
Right?
regular YouTube.
Your
That's
display
that's
has
just
to be.
evil.
Your
They could
display
give
has
that
to be
you
on.
for no reason. And
You
they just,
have
like,
to watch.
withhold it.
So I'll like have a YouTube video in the gym, and it's playing in my
Yes.
pocket with the screen displayed.
So it's like
in my
becomes
pocket.
like a podcast.
Right, and then like sometimes like my leg will hit it, and it'll like pause. or
Wait,
something.
you don't have
Yeah.
YouTube Red?
I don't have YouTube.
no. So we're
called
talking about
Premium
YouTube
now.
Premium, not Red,
I thought it was called YouTube Red.
because Red is no ads.
Rebrand.
Or-
Rebrand.
oh, it's the
Rebrand.
same thing.
Okay.
Same
Are you
thing.
talking
You don't
about
have YouTube Premium?
Premium Red Tube?
Premium.
This is you got to get it.
Okay, I got to
That's
get
what I'm
that.
telling you.
I got to get that.
It's incredible, life changing. And I think there's a few more features you get, but the main ones are ability to listen when the app is closed and no
Pretty solid.
ads.
Okay, I got another one. I thought of
Yes.
one. Okay, the Dyson Stick Vacuum.
Ah.
That is a game changer. I
Yeah?
mean, you guys
You a
don't
big
look.
vacuumer?
You guys don't look like. You guys
I have
don't,
one.
You don't look like you vacuum.
I have
House,
one, I don't use
fiance,
it.
Dyson.
You have a Dyson Stick Vacuum. You don't use it.
I don't use it. I don't clean.
I can tell. It's just filthy.
I
in
don't
here.
clean.
No, clean, bro.
Mina is doing most of the vacuuming, but when I our previous one was like some knockoff stick vacuum, and it just does not do the same thing.
No, I
This-
agree. It's
the
a
Dyson
beautiful
is
device.
amazing.
Yeah.
Is there a better product in the world for the dollar though than coffee?
Ooh.
Especially if you
It's
just,
consumable.
you buy it, but it's like
It really is joyful.
Coffee's
it's
the
like
best.
20
thing.
cents
Yeah.
if you actually
Yeah.
buy it, and it.
Why is
so
that
much-
legal? Why is
so
that
much
legal
joy.
and everything else is illegal? I don't understand.
Ooh. In terms of drugs?
Coffee's clearly a drug.
On a
Caffeine's
related
the
note,
best
I'm
drug.
thinking about taking a month off from coffee.
I'm addicted to coffee. I
Thought
couldn't
about
take
it.
a month off.
Thought about it. I got one more. Pull-up
All
bar.
right, one more pull-up bar. All right, it's great.
Pull-up bar.
Yeah, I got a pull-up bar. I like it.
Yeah,
Very
but
useful.
do you really use it, Steven?
Yes.
How many
I really-
pull-ups are you
Let me
doing?
show
on-
you how to use
Have
it.
you seen my back?
Show me.
It's like unbelievable.
How many pull-ups can you do in a 15-minute period? Go.
I have no idea.
Prove it.
But that would be a great
Who does
workout.
pull-ups for 15
That would be a
minutes
great
straight?
workout.
That's a workout.
That sounds like a Kyle
I do that.
Bozeman
I
workout.
forgot you're like a cage fighter.
Yeah, like a wannabe.
Pretty much.
Anyway.
Nick, you agree with the pull-up bar?
Yeah, I mean,
It's the best thing.
you
Best bang
do-
for the buck workout you can get.
Bust them out.
gotta work
Nothing
out.
better.
You gotta work out.
All
All
right.
right. Wrap it up.
that
Wrap
a
it up,
wrap?
Arwan.
I think we should wrap it.
That's it.
That's
Thanks for
beautiful.
tuning in. Good to see you, fellas.
Thank
Cheers,
you,
everybody.
Steven's got to run. I'm going to Egypt, Greece. I won't see you guys next couple weeks, probably.
What does that mean for the podcast?
I mean, I don't know. It'll be like 3 a.m.
What have you live from Egypt?
I don't think so. So
We'll just
hold
do
it
some,
down.
We'll just do some DGen specials without you. Maybe.
Good.
I don't know.
All right, boys.
Bye.
Wrap. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.